Long primary season where we expect record-breaking fundraising and spending as Americans face issues like inflation, high gas prices, and the threat that drawn-out conflict in Ukraine will have around the globe. Joining us now from Kentucky, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Mr. Leader, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Good morning, Dana.
Great to have you. President Putin is going to regroup. He has a new general, the one from the war in Syria, that he's going to put in charge. Apparently wants to announce something on May 9th. You have Zelensky vowing to continue to fight, but saying that he needs more. The will on behalf of the Ukrainians to fight has been impressive. Do you think that President Biden's will matches that?
Here's the problem. Secretary Austin was repeatedly asked at a hearing this week, what is our goal there? And he never state what I think is clearly our goal in Ukraine. We want the Ukrainians to win, to defeat the Russians, for the Russians to withdraw from the country, and that ought to be our goal. I think the administration has gotten better, but they've had to be pushed every step of the way to get more aggressive sooner. They are stepping up their game, but principally because of bipartisan pressure from Congress on the administration to do more quicker. So I think they're getting better, but they still don't understand the goal. The goal is for Ukraine to win.
And with every day, the atrocities just become more stark and chilling. David Ignatius wrote this week that if the Ukrainians are determined to repel the invaders, the United States has a moral duty to do what it can to help them succeed. Beyond that, and what you've just said, how important is it for China to see Putin lose here?
Well, you know, China has a choice. They can observe what's going on, and I'm sure they are, and choose to be with a civilized world, or they can go in the direction of the Russians. I'm hopeful the Chinese will look at the challenges the Russians have experienced trying to invade another country, internalize that, and maybe make a decision they're better off to operate around the world within the framework of the civilized world who don't invade other countries.
National security is energy security. We were just talking about this with the panel. What can you do to try to push the Biden administration to try to help us get back to more independence when it comes to our own energy?
It's really ridiculous. I mean, the administration wants everybody else to produce more except us. They want us to be green, and so they're going after our allies in the Middle East, asking them to up production. Look, we were energy independent as late as 2019. We can be energy independent again. The administration needs to take the shackles off of domestic production. We can meet our own needs, and we can export and help the Europeans as they wean themselves away from Russian oil and gas, which I think clearly now they realize is the best and safest path forward. Putin's invasion has done a lot to unify NATO and get the attention of NATO. It's also noteworthy that the Secretary General of NATO has pointed out we're going to beef up the troops along the eastern border of NATO, the frontline countries. This has been a good lesson of the importance of NATO. Once again, I think some people have kind of lost sight of that over the years.
Mm-hmm. Let's go back over then to our country and the southern border. There's been a lot of talk about Title 42. This was basically allowed the federal government to expel migrants that were trying to cross illegally, to say, no, you have to go back because of the pandemic. It's likely this is going to go away. And at the end of May, the Department of Homeland Security is suggesting we could see up to 18,000 migrants try to cross per day. The Border Patrol is already completely overwhelmed. They even have those mounted police, mounted Border Patrol that were being investigated for whipping migrants. Do you know that they are still on desk duty? They do not actually get to go out and do the job that they need to do. So how do you see this impact of Title 42 lifting, both from a policy perspective, and then, of course, I know there's politics as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's an outrageous decision to eliminate Title 42. It will produce a gusher, be far beyond the open border we already have, produce a gusher of additional people coming in. Totally inconsistent, by the way, with them asking us for $10 billion for vaccines and therapeutics. And what we said in the Senate was, not just we Republicans, but 5 or 6 Democrats as well, let us offer an amendment to guarantee that Title 42 stays in place, and we'd be happy to go ahead and pass the COVID relief package, which, by the way, is paid for by repurposing some of the $2 trillion the Democrats dumped on the economy last year, which Larry Summers has pointed out is the principal reason that we're having 40-year high inflation.
And Larry Summers also pointing out that we could be heading into a recession because we have low unemployment below 4%. We were just talking to Jen Psaki about that. In the middle of all of this, with wages up, unemployment down, the administration has extended again student loan borrowers. They don't have to pay. Again, so this was supposed to be because of the pandemic, and here you have Bernie Sanders. The extension is not even good enough for him. He tweeted this: cancel student debt, all of it. And that was followed by Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying, I don't think those folks understand the panic and disorder it causes people to get so close to these deadlines just to extend the uncertainty. It doesn't have the effect people think it does. We should cancel them. Where do you think this is going, sir?
Look, I think in this country it's important to remind people that we ought to pay our debts. We ought to pay our debts. And with regard to extending the moratorium, quoting Larry Summers again, he said it's exactly the wrong thing to do in the middle of this overheated economy producing this rampant inflation. This administration just can't seem to get their act together on the economy. That's why the American people are so down on the president. The economy, the precipitous withdrawal from Afghanistan, the domestic energy issue we've already been discussing, crime, problems in public education. This administration has really got its hands full, and I think they're headed toward a pretty good beating in the fall election.
I wanted to ask you about the midterms next anyway, so you have a great way of transitioning, sir. So inflation, gas and groceries, this is on everybody's minds. What would be different for Americans if Republicans win back the majorities in the House and Senate this year?
Well, our agenda next year, if we're fortunate enough to be in the majority, will be focused on exactly what you and I have been talking about: crime, education, beefing up the defense of our country. The president's request for the Defense Department in this year's request doesn't even keep up with inflation. We got a war going on in Ukraine. We got big power competition with the Russians and the Chinese. We need to meet the demands of the international situation. So all of those will be on our agenda. We will not have the presidency for 2 more years. Obviously, we'll have to work with the administration to see what we can agree on. But we want to turn the let me put it this way. Biden ran as a moderate. If I'm the majority leader in the Senate and Kevin McCarthy's the Speaker of the House, we'll make sure Joe Biden is a moderate.
Speaking of Joe Biden, once again transitioning for me, Mark Penn, a Democratic pollster, we asked him this week what he thought about the president's poll numbers and why they were down. You've known the president for decades. Listen to this and I'll get your response on the other side.
He did have this image of being a kind of a likable Uncle Joe, you know, ice cream Joe, kind of friendly. And I think he's lost that.
Do you think he's lost it?
Well, I think his policies have not worked, beginning with the precipitous and ill-advised withdrawal from Afghanistan, which became kind of a metaphor for the incompetence that's been on full display during this administration. None of the policies they've pursued have worked out well. The $2 trillion they dumped on the economy last year, against the advice of economists like Larry Summers, produced the 40-year wave of inflation. Everybody's seeing that when they fill up their automobiles, when they go to the grocery store. Their policies have produced a virtually open border. The previous administration did a good job at the border. They reversed all those policies, and we've been paying the price for that. We have a crime wave in the country. and they're continue to promote policies that, in my view, are pretty much soft on crime.
To be clear, when I said has he lost it, I was referring to likability, is what Mark Penn said, that he had lost likability. So we'll see how that goes. Do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, I like the president personally. It's pretty clear to me that personality is, in my view, not what's driving his unpopularity. I think it's the policies they've been pursuing.
Interesting. Last night there was a endorsement from former President Trump in the Pennsylvania Senate Republican race. Dr. Mehmet Oz got that endorsement over Dave McCormick, who had been trying to get it. Do you think that will affect that race?
Well, we'll see. I think we've got a good choice of candidates in Pennsylvania. I think we've been in a good position to win that race, regardless of who the nominee is. And I guess we'll find out in the next few weeks how much this endorsement made a difference.
And then finally, sir, we are in spring. It is a time for hope and renewal, as Passover and Easter will be observed next weekend. In the latest NBC poll, 71% of people said they feel like the country is on the wrong track. So that's got to be made up of, that's a bipartisan agreement there, that the country is on the wrong track. I'm sure you're often asked this question, which is, do you have hope for the country? Do you think that there is a way for us to get through all the things that we're going through and continue to thrive and be the leader of the free world?
Absolutely. Look, this is the greatest country in the world. We have these rough spots, and we've had them for 200 years. We always find a way to correct when we're on the wrong path and move in a different direction. So there's no reason to be pessimistic about America's future. We are the most important country in the world, the freest country in the world, and let's remember that this Easter. We have a lot to be grateful for and thankful that we're in this wonderful, wonderful country.
Wonderful note to end it on. Senator McConnell, thank you for your time. It's always good to talk to you.
Thank you, Dana.